Welcome to Excel Tips and tip number 43. And in tip number 43, we're going to show you one of my favourite things, named ranges. Why is it favourite? Because I find it a lot easier to use named ranges than actually cell referencing, and I'm going to show you why. Now, you've seen me use these in other tips before, but we figured you needed to see it on a tip on its own. So what is a name range? Essentially, you can see up here in the name box the reference of the cell that I'm in. So B1, B2, B3 as I go along and whatnot. You can actually change that to something more descriptive, more reasonable for your use. So I usually use it on data sheets, but I haven't set out a full data sheet here. I've just got a small table. But what we can actually do is say, right, for the revenue, for the actual value, we can actually change it to revenue. And then that way, whenever I go to that cell, it equals revenue. And then in a formula, I can actually say equals revenue. And it will bring it up. Similarly, I can go expenses. Now that's the easiest way to type it in. Another way to do it, and this is in Excel 2003, first you go to the Insert menu, Name and Define. And from that menu you can essentially select what the name is and what it refers to and press OK, and it can add it in that way. You can individually delete, or you can click any names that you've made before and edit it. In 2007 and 10, they've made things a little bit nicer. In the Formulas menu, let's just look for it. In the Formulas menu, we've got a Define Name section, and you can see you can define name, apply names using formula. So you can see the names that we've already got there. Create from a section, or what I like is the new name manager. And this actually allows us to edit different cells on the fly, so we can change that to C1. Give it the tick, you'll see it changes back to B1. So it's a lot nicer than 2003 because it allows you to edit without having to close out and come back in. You can do multiple deletes. I won't do that because I'll have to redo them. What else have we got? You can see if it's just for the worksheet or the workbook. One thing that you have to be careful for is if you actually copy worksheets across, that names which will be applied across the entire workbook will actually be also applied in the worksheet itself. So just be careful of that. I try to use all the defined names on a data sheet, that's what I was saying, and then I won't copy that data sheet anywhere or run for there. The great thing also about names is, say we're on sheet 2, we can actually say equals revenue, and it still comes up. And that's what I was saying. It works across the whole book, which is so much better than, say you've got a really long, complex formula, than having to see sheet 1, or for example, equals this minus this. You can see it comes up as revenue and expenses. Now, if we did exactly the same formula here, equals this minus this. From a review point of view, it is much easier to check this and say revenue minus expenses versus C1 minus C2. Of course, B1 and B2 still actually work, but by default, when you click on the cell, it will come up with the named ranges. But there you go, it works as well. Other things that you can do with it, you can use it as a range. So you can say profit calc, and you can actually look up, say you got these items on another sheet. For example, you could do if you look up that one there on profit, you can see as I type it in, it actually adds it in 2010 and 7 to the list of available things. So you can actually see there the little name tag and profit calc. So I can actually just click on that and say that. Or of course it's in the use formula drop down. So profit calc, column 2, false, and you'll see it brings up my actual amount, and I can drag that down, and it is absolute reference because it's it's a name reference. So that's just a quick way that you could use it. Other things that you should know about this calculation, let me have a think. You have to be very specific. There's no point in having a name which only you understand, because it sort of defeats the purpose for anybody reviewing the model. But that said, if you're going to find it easier to do it that way, by all means, use it in that function. You can have that length pretty much as long as you want, but there's no spaces allowed in the name, so that's why I have to use the underscore for profit calc. Names can't be the same as cell references, and that's why you have to actually have some valid characters in there and actually some length to it, especially in 2007 and 10, where you go out to XFD. It's very easy to have a reference which might be, cat 13 or something like that, which obviously already exists. So you actually have to think a little bit more about what your actual name and your reference is going to be. Case sensitivity doesn't exist in Excel as far as name referencing goes. So revenue with a capital R and revenue with a lowercase r, exactly the same thing. And I think that's about it. But this is a super, super good technique to get into, especially when you're doing your data sheets. Often what I do when I'm doing my data sheets and I've set up the name range already, so say these are data cells now, I'll actually write what the name range is in here. So I'll say something like revenue and expenses, and we'll change them to say like a light blue, make them smaller, and then it's obvious anybody who comes along, there we go, anybody who comes along can look at that and go, oh, there's something there, and I'll actually have in my notes saying light blue small text equals name ranges, so people can quickly see what each of the name ranges are in the actual workbook. Hopefully we've given you something there to go away and have a play with. As I said, it's very, very useful, and once you get used to using it, I think you'll never be able to turn away from it, to be honest, because I know that's the case with me. Good luck with it.